Hello everybody and welcome to this BIA webinar on getting the most out of the JP Morgan Conference 2023. I'm Steve Bates, the Chief Executive of the BIA, and I've had the pleasure or misfortune of having attended many of the conferences in San Francisco during this week in the past. I hope what we'll be able to get out of the webinar for you today is the following. You can have the next slide, please. So I hope what we can get from today is to give you an outline of what's happening in 23, give you some idea of what the UK presence is, what the messaging is and what support there is available. And hopefully that will save you time as you prepare and give you a sense of what's going on. If you're watching this in the airport, it's not too late. You'll be able to use this all the way through to the week. And this, I hope, will be of relevance for people who are thinking about going but haven't considered going yet, people who are going for the first time, and also for old hands. So apologies if we're trying to do this. And I've got some excellent colleagues with me who have both helped in the planning of the week and also are participants and seasons observers of the week that we'll be able to have a discussion with in a bit. So this is really what we're talking about, the JP Morgan Healthcare Conference in San Francisco and the associated events around it. So next slide, please. So what is it? Well, we think of it, we talk about it sometimes as JPM or JPM Week, but actually what it is far too many people from the life science investment community and entrepreneurial companies going to one city at one time. And there are a whole host of activities that take place during this week, which is almost more like a festival than a straightforward conference, because actually much of the action is not in the conferences. And here I've tried to list what I think happens during the week in order of importance, and to give you a sense as to the range of things that are going on. So the key thing that's happening is many venture capitalists from around the world take hotel suites across the town and meet with people that they're considering investing in private at some point in the city. There's also a very vibrant partnering scene in conferences at the Biotech Showcase and other places, and Lin will talk a little bit about that in the future. So many companies go to partner business development in the way that you'd see at some conferences we'd see in Europe or the UK. There's lots of networking, breakfast and evening events, a very vibrant and fairly open scene. Lots of people get value from that. And then there's serendipitous meetings that happen because there's lots of people around, whether that be in the airport lounge, walking between the conferences in the coffee shop or in the bar. Lots of that happens. And then, of course, there's formal conferences, and we'll talk a little bit more about the range of formal conferences, the core one being JP Morgan. Biotech Showcase is also important for our community, but there's a number of others, and those are, as you'd expect, panel presentations and other things going on. So there's lots going on. It's not just a conference, there's tons going on, and that's what we're trying to give you a flavour of in this webinar. Next one, please. And here's a basic list of some of the ones that are the formal conferences that you may have booked on or considered looking at from looking on online. As you can see, they are all within a stone's throw of each other. You can throw your hat over the locations that these are in, and they're all within a few blocks of downtown San Francisco. That's part of the reason why there's so much vibrancy and so many people travel from the UK and around the world. So these are a list of some of them. I'm sure you've got your own plans, but we'll talk a little bit more about how you can find out more about each of these. So that's the basics. And Lin from BioPartner joins us. Lin, do you want to talk a little bit about the support that you've been giving to UK companies that are considering going to this event?
Thanks, Steve. Yeah, it may be a little bit too late for those of you that have already registered, but BioPartner exists to save your money and help your cash go a little bit further, so that perhaps you could send 2 people to Biotech Showcase or to JPM Week instead of just the one. The networking is very important. You need to bump into the right people, and using an event such as Biotech Showcase is a really good opportunity to have a base, get some lunch, find somewhere to sit. And there's a partnering system run by BIO that runs throughout the week. You can book a table or you can book meetings at your own location as you wish. It's all about the partnering and bumping into the right people. We're offering $200 off the ticket price for Biotech Showcase. we're offering 10% off Resi, 10% off the Sachs Forum Neuroscience event. So just check out our website and see what's on offer. If you've still got a colleague to register, then it's not too late to just get a reduced price ticket. We've also got our own little directory where we put all of the names of the companies that are attending Biotech Showcase, and those that have registered through us get a little bit of an extra mention. The link is there, the bts23.biopartner.co.uk. I think I can't say much more.
Next one then.
Thank you.
There they are. There's all the discounts listed out. And if you're thinking for next year, I would say look at the BioPartner early in the year if you're thinking about what you do for 24. Lin's a great source for these types of opportunities and some of the things that are available not only in this week but throughout the year. So let's keep going. Talk a little bit about back one, please. A little bit about the JPM guide and the partnering I touched on, Lin.
Yeah, the JP Morgan guide produced by McDougall and BioCentury, that comes out every year and it's updated regularly. That's just a big long page of places that you can go to participate in the parties and the seminars, things that are going on. Those that you saw on the previous slide are the ones that we recommend and the ones that we've secured discounts for, but there's a lot going on. Just keep referring back to that web page if you're interested in finding out everything that's going on. And as I mentioned, the partnering systems, the Resi uses a different one to Partnering One, which is the Biotech Showcase, and then there's the Bio one-to-one partnering as well, which runs across the week. And that's the Bio one-to-one. The rates, as you can see, are 1,100. Bio members of the US organization get a reduced price ticket, but if you're not a Bio member, then you can get $100 from Bio Partner. Just drop us your name, we'll add you to our list and we'll send you the registration link closer to Christmas. And that's it. Sign up with us.
Thanks, Lin.
What's on offer.
Thanks, Lin. Very, very, very helpful. Go back one, please. The other one that I've found, in addition to the JP Morgan guide, which you mentioned, Lin, is this one, which is called On Your Mark, and it's promoted by Big Four Bio, and it does a very similar thing. It also gives you a sense as to what conferences are available and what receptions and private events are and where they are and who's going to them, and clicks and links through. So I think there's now a couple of guides to what's going on. And as you say, these move all the time until the day, and this will give you an idea of who's where, particularly for the somewhat messy events at breakfast and evening time. Some of them will be fairly open access, others of them you have to know someone to get in, but this will at least give you sense as to who you may wish to target or where you might want to get to. And I think the thing from my perspective is this year it's probably going back into person for the first time after a couple of years of lockdown. So I think for seasoned travelers, it will be interesting to see whether it's the same or different compared to how it's been, whether it will be gangbusters because everyone's going, or people will have pulled in their horns a bit because either the financing environment or eco reasons about travel, or whether some of the virtual stuff will be there. So I think it's a suck it and see year for me in 23, and I'm not quite sure how it will go, but there seems to be quite a lot planned, and we'll see how it goes. Let's keep going, please. So some good guides there. The other thing that we try and do is give you a sense as to what the Brits are doing at JPM, and I don't know, Hannah, if you want to join us. Hannah Williams from Department for International Trade has been working behind the scenes on much of the work here. Do you want to talk a little bit about the planning that DIT have been doing to support the sector?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Steve. So yeah, as Steve said, I work for the Department for International Trade as part of the Life Sciences team, and I lead our work with the biopharma sector. So we're planning quite an extensive UK delegation out at JP Morgan this year. I won't go through the full list, but it includes representation from Office for Life Sciences, from NICE, from NHS, from Genomics England, Cell and Gene Therapy Catapult. And that group will be focused on having sort of a broad range of meetings focused on promoting sort of the wider UK life sciences sector, including its very innovative biotech cluster. And we could also have, and I do caveat this is still being confirmed, but we could have ministerial attendance as well. And we're quite optimistic of securing that, also aimed at kind of raising, I think, the profile of UK life sciences in general. We're holding sort of smaller focused events, but our sort of key moment for engagement is the UK reception, which is on the evening of Monday the 9th between 6 to 8, and we'll invite kind of hopefully some representation from this group and also sort of the broader sort of a sector out in JP Morgan, and this will be kind of a great networking opportunity, and we're doing that in partnership with BIA, with Scottish Development International, and with Kieron Medical as well. So thanks very much to our partners on that. We're very keen to connect with UK biotech CEOs coming out for the week, so including those looking to raise finance, to see how we can support with that sort of profile raising through our network. So just a plea really to get in touch with me, and also of course via the BIA and the others on this call, just to let us know sort of what your interests and your goals are during the week, so that we can look for opportunities and maximize the conversations that we're having to promote that. I think that's everything.
Thanks, Hannah. So yeah, I think we've asked people as they've joined this call to tell you if they're going. If we find out that companies are going, we tell you, and then you can work with them to hopefully make sure they get an invite to the reception. Plus, also if you've got other things that are where you can leverage the fact that we've got, as I think of it, as UK state assets going, whether it be other players, then it can be useful to get into other meetings. So I encourage people to engage with that, and at least join us on the Monday evening. And I've put here, Hannah, and I know a bit cheeky of me to put, should we have a get over the jet lag together informal drink on Saturday or Sunday? I think if people are interested in that, give us a shout, and we'll raise a flag, pick a bar somewhere, and get people together. Nothing very formal, but it's a long flight, and it is the FA Cup third round, which I know there's usually some American football going on, but people might be interested in that. So that's the stuff that we're thinking of for us there at the week. Next slide, please. And it's all pretty walkable. I mean, we just put this slide up so you can see the Marines Memorial Club is literally around the corner from the Western San Francisco, and if you look at Biotech Showcase, they're literally, it's all walking distance downtown. If you've not been before, literally it is a couple of blocks apart. So yeah, do remember it's walking. Next slide. Yeah, I use public transport when I go to San Francisco. I don't travel. I find it pretty straightforward. You can get in from the airport on the BART, and then you can get an Oyster card or Clipper card for getting around. And I find that's pretty straightforward. Even if where you're staying is at some distance from downtown, it's pretty straightforward to use that, and it works pretty effectively for this conference. It's all accessible by public transport. Next one. So my basic takeaways for newbies: you don't have to go into JP Morgan to have a successful week, but you do need to know what you're doing if you're going to go, and having meetings in advance is pretty critical. Make sure you're really organized, because the time they're going to get with people is really limited. You might get a lift ride or something like that, so make sure you can talk very quickly about it. Social events can be important, and I've met a lot of people who've become important contacts during the networking around the edges of it. And yeah, it is ridiculously expensive, and you're right in saying how much, yeah, I mean, they see this sector coming, and it is really expensive, particularly now with exchange rates. Make sure you have business cards and a phone charger, and make sure, because that's always, you can run out of that, and it is rough at night if you get to the wrong sides of the tracks. So just be vigilant, be careful, and be aware. Next up. So Hannah, I've purloined this from discussions that I've seen knocking around with government, and part of what I think we can do here is not only understand what Brits are going, but how do we talk about the UK when we get there? Because sometimes you'll be asked about your company, but they'll also have perspectives on the UK. what you think of the Harry and Meghan Netflix documentary and other things, but this is the thinking that I think many of the people who Hannah's organising when we get the list will be talking about when they get there. Being open for business, having a discovery engine, having a great ecosystem, having the NHS as a unique selling point, and how the UK government is committed to the life science sector. So I think that's sort of the core messaging that we'll see from UK public sector representatives out at JP Morgan this year, and that maybe chime in with some of the things that you're saying about your own company and may support some of the things that you're doing. So hopefully, if you've got this understanding, you can see what the people that Hannah will be supporting coming out from the UK state will be saying. And then I've tried to turn this into something slightly pithier, because I don't really get formal meetings all the time. So next slide, please. You'll see what's going on in the UK. Well, this is my attempt, if I'm in a lift with someone, to say what's going on that's different and why should you look at the UK. So I say, whilst NASDAQ's gone to sleep, London has woken up to the life science opportunity. And if you think about what's behind that, lots of reforms going on in UK pensions, the Chancellor's speech at in Edinburgh, the life science scale-up work that we've been doing at the BIA. London is starting to realise as a financial market that it's missed out on life sciences, and pension funds realise they need to be in growth opportunities. The question I think we'll see go through 23 is, how does that happen? So new forms of money are going to come into our sector, and London is worth looking at. Remember, many people won't be focused on the UK. Second point I make is the crick has met DeepMind, and that's become a thing. They've got it together, and I call that thing tech bio. So this is how the UK has got some of the world leading people who understand what goes on inside cells, people at the Crick and other institutes and in a fantastic science base, and lots of people who understand machine learning and AI and how you can use that to predict protein folding in DeepMind and other areas there. And people are thinking about how you put that together as a new way of doing drug discovery and drug development. We've already seen the benefits of that in some of the COVID work that Benevolent have talked about, but I think that's a real vibrant scene here. And that is how I talk about the new scene in London is tech bio. My third point does match in with stuff that the government will probably talk most about. I think, the NHS cradle to grave data sets plus genomics is producing some interesting data love children. I put it at that. Our Future Health is a really interesting example of that, and some of the stuff that's coming out of the Sanger. So some interesting kids in the UK, not fully formed, but really worth engaging with. And I think global players are engaging with that. And then the other one I'm flogging next year is come to the UK before Thanksgiving this year. London 2023 is the new cooler JPM. We've already seen that the scene around the Jefferies conference in the week before Thanksgiving was really, really vibrant. People want to get out of the US, and if you want to come and see what's happening, actually making that a destination for you this year in your calendar will give you lots of access to this exciting stuff that's going on. So that's my pitch, my quick takes. And if you want to rip those off, repeat them, embellish them, tell me I've got them wrong, please do. But that's sort of how I will be messaging the sector this year. Next up, if you're not going, don't worry. Certainly, I think you can get quite a lot of the value of this from your own desk. There's lots of live feeds from many of the conferences. The JP Morgan stuff is live fed normally. You can get some sense as to the company presentations, and some of the other ones have virtual presentations at your leisure further down the year. So much of this can be gained from your own desk if you're not traveling or you're always too expensive. And the hashtags are a good place to start, although who knows what's going to be happening with Twitter by January. But yeah, I think it's not you can't get the serendipity, and you can't get the face-to-face stuff there. But I think there is quite a lot of value and quite a capacity to engage with many of the themes of this and some of the trade publication work that's going on that will happen, which will set the tone for the sector. So I think it's possible to get some value from home if you're not traveling. Next up, and of course, go and get to JP Morgan. You can of course book now for BIA events. We've got some fantastic events appearing on our website through next year. Women in Biotech are already organised, some regional spotlights coming ahead, and all of the other things. So don't worry if JP Morgan's not on your calendar for next year. Do please come and join us at some of our events through 23 and have a look as to what we've got. Book on, and we look forward to seeing you in person. So with that, I hope that's given you a rapid fire run through as to what's going on, how to approach it, what we're talking about it, and how the Brits are organised. And then I thought we could have a great discussion with our expert panelists. Lin and Hannah will rejoin, and I'm joined also by Sam Williams and Chris Mayo, who've got plenty of experience of travelling to JP Morgan for a discussion and reflection. And think we're also keen to take some questions at this point and see how people are doing. So Chris, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us what's taken you to JP Morgan and how you found the week.
Thanks a lot, Steve. So my name is Chris Mayo. I'm head of primary markets for the Americas at the London Stock Exchange Group. I'm based in New York. That's probably why you can tell it's pitch black outside right now, because it's 6:20 in the morning. I've been involved in the life science industry for about 10 years, and I actually was formerly the life science specialist at the London Stock Exchange Group, based in London, and actually created a number of events together with Steve to highlight the importance of channeling investment into the life science industry in the UK, especially given the high degree of innovation we have domestically in the UK. We felt there was need to shine a light on that more strongly. With regards to JP Morgan, I go there for a couple of reasons. My core job today is actually to get US companies to IPO in London. I actually had 5 life science companies do that last year. So there's actually a flow that goes from the US to the UK, and people don't often realize that. So I just want to make that clear to people that we actually do have a capital market that is even able to attract US life science companies. But also, I would say that one of the other reasons, apart from to meet with investors and also to meet with US companies, is to, interface with the UK community. I often find it's easy to meet a large amount of UK people at JP Morgan than it would be to try and assemble those meetings in London over a 2 or 3 month period. So it's actually very useful from that perspective. I would also say, to look at some of the slides that Steve put up earlier, is that you need to be prepared early. You need to be assembling your one-on-one schedule right now. You need to be prepared before you go with most of your meetings. Clearly, there is serendipity, as Steve said. There's lots of really good networking receptions, and the McDougall list is really good for finding access to that. But in addition to that, I would also say that the partnering opportunities that Lin talks about are also very useful, especially around Biotech Showcase. I also find that the last thing I would say is just hanging out in the Hilton lobby has always been quite a fruitful source of meetings for me. And I would be ready with my materials just to meet with companies and investors who literally walk past. There's a nice little coffee shop off the side of the lobby there, and you'll often see people that are good meeting candidates just by hanging around. So lurking in hotel lobbies is what I will be doing in a couple of weeks' time. Thanks, Steve.
Chris, thanks. Sam, what's your experience of JP Morgan, and do you remember the first time you went?
It was a long time ago. I first went in 1997, when I think it was still called the H&Q conference, because it was run by Hambrecht and Quist, which was then subsumed by JP Morgan. So I've been as an investor, as a banker, and as a company executive, and people always call it a zoo, but I think it's worse than a zoo. It's a zoo where, a zoo is quite an orderly process, actually. It's kind of a zoo where all the animals have been let out. So it's utterly exhausting, but I think it's incredibly useful. I know some people are finding it less useful now, but the fact is you can get a whole load of meetings done there. In fact, I find it almost as useful for meeting people from the UK there and getting a lot of business meetings done in one place, which is actually quite efficient. I mean, my advice would be, I presume that most of the audience here are people who are going to be going and pitching, so company CEOs and CFOs. And so again, apologies for teaching grandma to suck eggs, but I mean, my one piece of advice would be to bear in mind you will be exhausted, they will be exhausted, but they're the ones with the money. So, you need to make life as easy as possible for them. And I think that the companies that get it right, obviously they're usually people who are very seasoned at this and have got the knack of it. I would say, you know, if you have a 1 hour slot with a US fund manager, keep it simple, keep it brief, don't labor it, don't you know, sort of indulge yourself by taking the full hour, by, you know, laboring the presentation. You're gonna see people that are falling asleep in the meeting. Certainly by the end of the week, I've literally seen that from one of the top US life science investors, venture capitalists. The guy's eyes were closing during the meeting, and I have to say I wasn't pitching, so I hope it's not a reflection of me. But that's what you're faced with, because everyone is exhausted. So keep it punchy. Don't spend lots of minutes talking about your board composition, because, you know, I mean, no one's interested in that stuff. They want to know, have you got an interesting story? If you're pitching and actually pitching formally to raise money, I mean, our advice to our companies is maybe don't use JPM for that. Use it to familiarize, and then, you know, if they're interested, well, we happen to have a fundraise going on, but it's building familiarity, but doing it in a way that makes it interesting for them. And if it takes a shorter time to make your pitch and leave it open for Q&A, that's fine. And if you end up walking out after half an hour, that's also fine, because they'll appreciate the fact you've made life easy for them. So that's what I would do. I would just say, but, you know, don't labor it, keep it punchy, and you are more likely for them to remember you if you have kind of made life easy for them, and maybe them giving them a bit of spare time at the end before their next meeting. So I'll stop there.
Thanks, Sam. So the questions are starting to come in, and I do encourage people to come in. So yeah, I think we plan to share the slides. If Lynn, I'm happy for the slides to be shared. If you're happy for your slides to be shared, then yep, we can, and they've got the links in them, so, you know, don't feel you've got to write it all down. Chris, do you have a view about difference for if you're from a diagnostics company versus a biotech company on how you might approach the week?
Sorry, that was a question for me, Steve, was it?
I'm asking you to have a crack at it, but anyone can.
Yeah, well, I don't think there's any difference, to be honest. I actually go there with most of the opportunities that I'm seeking actually are outside of biopharma. I mean, certainly when it comes to doing US to UK IPOs. And there is an adjunct kind of part of the biotech showcase conference, which actually focuses on medtech as well. And actually that's where I spend a lot of my time. So I actually don't think it makes a huge difference. And also I would say is all of the receptions are, you know, they're not solely focused on biopharma. So I think that, you know, if you're a diagnostics or a devices company and you're looking at going to JP Morgan, you will still be able to meet a full kind of gamut of investors and certainly a full gamut of advisors. So I think it has, you know, equal value. I think that has always been, oh, this is a very biopharma focused thing. Actually, in my experience, that's not necessarily the case. So I think that actually there is value in this for all kinds of companies from different subsectors of life sciences. And certainly those are the kind of companies that I'm hoping to meet while I'm there.
Nice, Chris. Hannah, a question for you. Paula asks, Brit reception on Monday. Do I need an invite?
Yes, thanks very much, Paula. So yes, you will need an invite. That's an invite only event. But if you are interested in attending, please just get in touch either with me, or I hope I'm okay in saying this, or with the BIA, and we'll get you on that list for that event. Thank you.
Cool. Someone anonymous says they're a JPM showcase newbie. They've filled out the profile for the showcase and sent out invites, but haven't had any accepting parties. I have a modular business plan and ask, what can I improve? Lynn, do you want to start on that one, and then Sam, Chris?
Sorry, the meeting requests haven't been
No, so far I have no accepting parties.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. You just need to accept that maybe people haven't looked at their meeting schedule yet, and there's still plenty of time. If you're talking about enhancing the profile and making people more interested in your company, then, you know, feel free to contact the organisers directly, because they have partnering teams that are well experienced in this, and they're very happy to you know, to respond to individuals and to give tailored advice. And they're partnering. They're for Biotech Showcase anyway, their contact information is on the website, or we can put you in touch with them. Same with Resi, you know, they're very keen for you to use their systems and to get the best out of them. So, you know, don't flounder and be disappointed. You know, seek some advice.
I think, Lynn, I agree. I think that those companies are keen to make sure people get value out of it. And if you're not getting anything, then, you know, give them a prod and get them to help you with that. The other one that I don't know whether it's a trick that we all still continue to do, Lynn, which is block out the back end of the week and make sure you force your meetings into the front end of the week if that's when you're there, so you don't end up with things very slowly over 4 days if you're trying to get done in 2, and then if you get filled up, then open up more time in your diary further down. Otherwise, it can be very, very difficult, or you end up with you know, with a very unfocused set of stuff.
I would also say don't make the mistake of being too open. You know, obviously you want to be available for any incoming meetings and for the scheduling. But if you are going to push people to meet you at 7 o'clock in the morning, they may not appreciate it. They may not be at their best. You may not be at your best if you've had a heavy night the night before. So, you know, do schedule some time for a lie-in if you need it. And breaks, you know, you have to have breaks. You can't have back-to-backs and be, you know, traipsing across town for the whole week. So you take care of yourself.
Thank you. I don't know the answer to this one. How useful might JPM or Biotech Showcase be for networking with European pharmaceutical manufacturers and distributors? No, I don't think of it as a massive. Sam, do you want to?
Well, I presume that question, it doesn't mean for meeting pharmaceutical companies. I'm not sure. Does it mean contract manufacturers? I don't know. But
yeah,
I don't think it's incredibly useful for meeting pharmaceutical companies. It's part of half the purpose of it. By the way, just coming back to the previous question.
Sure, yeah.
Unfortunately, the brutal reality is, I mean, we don't go and our companies don't go without most of the meetings having been set up via a personal contact. Because again, unless you're known to these people, and if they're a pharma company, if there's a pharma, you know, potential buyer that you're trying to target, or an investor, I mean, they have a huge list of people who are trying to contact them anonymously, or not anonymously, but people they don't know through the system. So we might have 1 or 2 like that, but generally most of our meetings for our companies and for us ourselves are ones that they may end up being organized through the system, but they know who we are, and we already know, and they know that, and we've agreed we want to meet at JP Morgan. So that might be something to bear in mind, maybe for next year.
Yeah, and I think this is the week in which people are finalizing their schedules and their calendars, and broadly before Christmas it's largely cooked. So I think I would encourage you, if there's people you want to meet or think might be there, or you think you might want to meet, email them today if you know them, and say, are you going, can I get on your schedule? And then it may turn out to be formally done through partnering, but it will be cooked this week, really, which is why we've put this in today, because you've got today, probably a couple of days next week, and you know, if people are finalizing their schedules, there might be space around the edges.
And then Steve, if I may, just, you know, coming back to the anonymous attendee about meeting European pharma manufacturers. I mean, if you mean sort of contract manufacturers, I don't remember that I've ever, or any of our companies have, but I'm sure they're all there. I mean, everyone is there, so I'm sure it is useful if you want to meet those guys.
Yeah, I mean, my sense is, compared to Bio, if you think of it as another, if I compare and contrast Bio and JP Morgan, Bio, there is a big floor and the CDMOs have a big stand, and you can walk up to that big stand and you can talk to them. There's none of that at JP Morgan. It is largely partnering with people that you've organized, networking receptions in the evening, and companies presenting either public facing ones about their expectations for the year, or privately pitching or presenting. So there's much less of that trade show piece than at Bio. And if I was going to go to the US to meet CDMOs, global CDMOs, one-off, probably I would go to Bio. But then, you know, Wuxi Tech have got a big conference which they are running, and they'll have a very strong and senior presence there. And as you say, Sam, there'll be lots of people in town meeting and doing stuff. Are there any events or conferences focused on finance or risk? This is from the to help senior executives secure comprehensive directors and officers liability insurance with Gallagher. Are there any events or conferences focused on finance or risk? Lynn, my sense is there's probably not. I mean, in a sense, JP Morgan is all focused on presenting numbers about businesses. So in a sense, it's a finance thing, and many of the meetings are about securing finance, but I'm not sure that there's any other conferences which would have liability insurance focus.
Not to my knowledge, no. I think you are going to bump into all of the CFOs and the finance people there, but I don't think there's anything specifically about finance and risk. Do go through that list of events and opportunities and see if you can pick one or two out. But I wouldn't go to JP Morgan on that basis that you would hope to find one or two specific conferences. In terms of the suitability of this week for various people, picking up on Chris's point earlier, I think Biotech Showcase does have a digital and medtech stream, so it is very worthwhile for diagnostics companies to go. For CDMOs and contract research organisations, less so, and there is a worrying trend in some of the partnering systems where people can tick a box to say that they don't want to meet such service providers. And yeah, that's become very unpopular with a number of our members who are CROs, and we advise them to kind of ignore it, because if you are going to the partnering system and you want to tick that box, you might still be open to inquiries. It's just a kind of knee-jerk box tick, and don't let it put you off.
So, Chris, I'm going to come to you, and I always think that in a sense the JP Morgan week is the kickoff to the year. You bring a useful perspective for us in the UK, and that you're based in the US. What do you think the mood will be going into to 23, and how does it feel from where you sit in the US? And Sam, I don't know whether you want to come in on that, but Chris, how are you seeing it as we go into 23?
Well, I think things are a bit subdued, and I think you may be seeing that in terms of the attendance as well. I think it will be well attended, but it won't be like it was in 2018 or 2019. And part of the reasons for that is obviously 2021 was a boom year for biotech IPOs, but the performance of those IPOs has been not very good, and a lot of those companies are now trading below cash. And I think obviously the tap has turned off to a certain extent, so people are having to be creative about alternative sources of capital. But still, I think there's still, I think 2023 looks to be better. And that's certainly what I'm seeing from both a UK and a US perspective. And from an IPO perspective, it's not going to be as racy as 2021. So I think that obviously companies which have some elements of de-risking in their profile are likely to be better received than ones that don't. And I think it'll be harder for preclinical companies to go public. I don't see that was obviously a huge thing in 2021. I just don't see that being a huge thing going forward this year. So I think that there'll be great representation from investors and advisors, but still I think there will be certainly more reticence when it comes to deploying capital this year. So I think it is kind of let's see, a wait and see approach. There's often, I would say, during JPM week, that's historically a time where a lot of news flow gets put out, be it M&A or other kind of things with regards to the industry. That can set the tone for the rest of the year. And so a lot of people hold things back actually to put out. And so hopefully if there's some good news flow, that can create a more positive atmosphere and obviously create a more conducive environment for raising capital.
No, Chris, I mean, I think it's an important point, and in a sense, part of this is about building relationships. So it may not be that you're looking to get finance this year, but you're meeting people or you're getting on the radar of people who will then build a relationship with you, which is useful in subsequent years. And that, in some respects, I think is where I've seen people get success. But it's a multi-year process, and often it's it's about layers of paint before you get to the final piece. Sam, any last thoughts from you?
No, just to add to that, I mean, just reiterate what you said. I mean, I think if you've already planned to go out with a very explicit ask and you've got to get on with it, absolutely fine, no problem with that. But I do view it, getting to know particularly US investors, you need to build familiarity with them. I mean, if it's a really hot story and they like it, and they think they can make money, then obviously none of that matters. But generally, we see JP Morgan as a chance to just start building that and get in front of them. This is what we're going to achieve over the next year. The following year, you go back and show them you achieved it, or you meet them sooner and say, we actually achieved what we were going to do in Q1, Q2. We're now raising money, and they remember it. So anyway, but you know, there's no hard and fast rule.
We've got a good question to close with, which is, which network receptions or event look the most fun to you? Someone's looking forward to bowling, spin and wine tasting. And do you know if the circus event will be back on? I don't know if the circus event will be back on. Anybody got any views as to things they've enjoyed or would target? Other than, of course, Hannah, the fabulous event at the Marines Memorial Club on the Monday evening between 6 and 8.
Yeah, I mean, always the whiskey one, as you're talking about, is always a lot of fun. So yes, I enjoy that very much. I would say that, I mean, I'll be interested to see this year. Sometimes some of the law firms will do just incredible events, like at, they say, the Museum of Modern Art and things like that. I don't know if they're going to splash out to that extent this year. I'll be very interested to see. Certainly when in 2018 and 2019, you saw some extraordinary events in terms of the scale that they had. And you had people queuing around literally for 2 blocks to get into, you know, say a Wilson Sonsini event or something of that nature. I'll be interested to see if that actually is repeated this year. I'd say queuing around the block in San Francisco is somewhat of a, you know, a lottery, shall we say, given what can happen on the streets in San Francisco. As you said, Steve, people should really, who are not familiar with San Francisco, need to be aware that you have to be very careful on the street, especially at night. So that's just one word of warning from me.
I'd agree with Steve that the Marines Memorial event on Monday night is going to be very popular. If you do want to go, then make sure that you get in touch with Hannah directly or indirectly to request an invitation. It's high profile, it's high quality, and particularly if a minister attends, then you know you get to shake his hand and have your photograph taken, his or her hand. It's very, very popular. And as Steve said earlier, don't despair if you're not able to go in person, because there are lots of things being streamed online, and at least 3 of these conferences that we've got discounts for are offering virtual tickets, so you can still book your partnering meetings using Zoom and other platforms.
Cool. You talk to Hannah, or if you register for this event, you can register your interest in coming either here or in response to our event, and we'll make sure that you're on the list. I think I'm going to close by saying, of course, the best events are in the UK, and the job of all of us is to encourage the Americans to come to BIA events in the year ahead. And nothing beats the BIA summer party at San Francisco. And you know, we'll be delighted to welcome our American colleagues through. So with that, I want to thank Chris, Sam, Hannah, Lynn, my team for organising this. If you found it valuable, please tell us. If it's not been useful, also please tell us. If you're going, look forward to seeing you there. If you're not, please, use the virtual things, and I hope you found it useful. Have a good Christmas if I don't see you before. Thanks all.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you.